Looking at the aerial shots of Prudda for the start of stage 5 of the Aviva Tour of Britain. The riders would be pedalling down to Hartside today, 166 kilometres, and a hard task ahead of the yellow jersey, Juan Lobato of Movistar. Owain Doull still wearing the chain reaction points jersey, and also Peter Williams having a storming tour as the Odell Direct Sprint jersey leader. Under pressure could be Tom Stewart, who is the leader of the Skoda King of the Mountains. Well, the rollout got a huge cheer from the crowd that had assembled, ready to send the riders on their way. One surprise non-starter was Gaviria, the 21-year-old Colombian who clinched the stage yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately for Gaviria, he's struggling with a bit of a knee problem, but right from the start we had an attack on the right-hand side of the road from Kanitsky.
And 5 riders quickly formed away. Mark Kanitsky was the instigator, joined by Peter Williams, Michael Morkoff, Mark McNally and Connor Dunn. 1 minute and 10 seconds was quickly established. All 4 of the break were 26 or 20 minutes behind the yellow, so there weren't any danger, but one was Michael Morkoff. And the first sprint as they lined up for the run in Hexham was fiercely fought by Peter Williams and Connor Dunn. Connor Dunn, the Irishman in the green, the tall rider who was the first leader in the Odell Direct Sprint jersey competition at the end of stage 1, had to surrender to the firepower of Peter Williams. So Williams picked up more points to add to his overnight tally.
So a huge crowd there in Hexham, and this man started off in the first stage looking for that competition, battling it out with Connor Dunn into stage 5, and 2 of them are still locking horns.
And then they were on to the first of the climbs, Hayden Bridge, a first category ascent. It was Mark McNally, who was the king of the mountains last year in the Tour of Britain, that powered his way over the top to pick points up. Mark McNally a little bit further back in the overall standings overnight, but now starting to show that he's interested. Peter Williams picking up a useful 9, and it meant that Williams was now become a pressure to Tom Stewart. And then there was a crash. Mark Cavendish collided with the Spaniard, and he was not happy at all, Cavendish.
Really not happy, and he's pointing the finger at Izagiri, really not happy. So Mark Cavendish just gets on his way, goes up to the race jury, has a chat with them, really not happy with that situation.
So in the wars again was the Manx missile as we move forward to sprint number 2 at Brampton. And once again it was Connor Dunn that was trying to outwit Peter Williams. But Peter Williams of One Pro certainly has the sprinting legs on in this tour. 3 more points for Peter Williams, which meant that he would be the collector of the jersey at the end. And as they got towards the summit of the second King of the Mountains climb at Croglin, it was Mark McNally that was over the top first, ahead of Peter Williams, with Connor Dunn third.
Yeah, both McNally and Williams amassing points in that competition, but it was back at the head of the peloton, and it was Team Sky that was taking control with the Scot Andy Fenn.
And as they got to the summit of the third climb at Brockley Moor, Mark McNally once again powered his way over the line first, ahead of Williams, to pick up the 4 points. But the effort by Williams throughout the day meant that he had picked up enough points to go ahead of Tom Stewart in the overall standings as the new King of the Mountains. Well, a lead that had stretched out to over 4 minutes at one point was now being cut back.
So many teams at the front of the peloton were trying to bring this breakaway back. Could this man Lobato keep a hold of that Aviva yellow jersey?
Tough ask for him, and there was an attack by Morkoff. Morkoff decided he was going to try and split the group. He wasn't happy, and the attack was successful, and it meant that the leading group then was down to 3. Morkoff, McNally and Williams. And as they went over the line for the third and final sprint of the day in Penrith, Peter Williams was the man that picked up 3 more points.
So that was 3 out of 3 for Peter Williams, and it was the team of Wiggins. So Bradley Wiggins came to the front with Andy Tennant on the wheel, trying to look after the chain reaction points jersey with Owain Doull.
But the effort on the front by Wiggins and Tennant came to naught, and finally the 3 survivors from that leading group were caught, and Lobato, the yellow jersey, was struggling to try and stay on the back of the main field. Lobato, more a sprinter, would be relying on his teammates when they got to the mountain, the ascent of Hartside. king of the mountains. Tom Stewart finding it far too hard right at the foot slopes of the climb, and he lost contact. But immediately there were groups trying to go away. Peter Kennyuk was the man that was trying to distance himself. Then he was finally overhauled by Stefan Kruijswijk of Lotto NL Jumbo.
So Kruijswijk was in front. Wout Poels came across to him. The peloton in dribs and drabs all over the place. Then we had this incident with Theo Geoghegan crashing, bringing also down Alex Peters, his teammate.
Brace of British young riders went down, and then we saw a terrific effort by Wout Poels of Sky, who had a stage win in the Tour of Britain back in 2010. And it was the long, rangy, slender Powells that tried to get clear, but Kruijswijk of Lotto NL Jumbo had got the power to stay with him. Then there was a tremendous kick and an injection of pace by the former Tour of Britain winner in 2009, and that was Edvald Boasson-Hagen, the Norwegian champion.
Well, he was coming up the finishing straight. Could he have enough to pull this one off?
It looked very much as though Boasson-Hagen was going to tidy the stage up and get the yellow jersey, but almost within sight of the line. Powells overhauled him, and it was Powells that threw his arms in the air to claim the stage victory. But good work by Boasson-Hagen, and the 6-second bonus for second place meant that he would become the new leader of the Tour of Britain. Third place went to Bernard Inchausti of MTN Quebec.
So as the other riders battled up to the finishing line, Stibar coming across for Ethics Quickstep. The bunch were all in 6s and 7s, but this was the battle in the last 200 metres between Edvard Boasson-Hagen and the Dutch rider riding for Team Sky, Wout Poels, with Wout Poels coming out on top with a matter of only 2 seconds.
And that meant that Boasson-Hagen would be in yellow by 1 second. Second, Boasson-Hagen. Third, Inchausti of Movistar. What a dramatic finish to a sensational stage. And I'm afraid the yellow jersey would no longer be on the shoulders of Lobato, who arrived, well, in one of the groups near the back after a very tough stage.
Dropped at the bottom of the climb. Lobato loses that jersey, lost 10 minutes today, but this is the man who took the yellow jersey, the Norwegian champion Edvard Boasson-Hagen.
And he celebrated with the victory salute. Tough task following him, of course, as the Tour of Britain continues, as he tries, of course, to retain the lead. 1 second the advantage. There it is. So Boasson-Hagen, latest leader of the Tour, 1 second ahead of Wout Poels. Guldhammer third, and Inchausti in fourth, Dowell fifth. Still a long way to go, but Boasson-Hagen now in charge.